as normalized as it is, probably 70-75% of people or women that we talk to don't poop 1 to 3 times every single day, and so
Yeah.
we'll just get that out of the way, like, you can't normalize it even if you've been like that your whole entire life. You wanna be pooping 1 to 3 times every day.
Every single fucking day.
And
Okay?
good poops.
And good poops. And if you're not going daily, you're literally like leaving the toxins and the garbage in your body to start to recirculate
Reabsorb.
around.
Mhm.
Yes. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another episode of The Wellness Effect. And today we are talking about shit. So I'm really excited about it. But more specifically, constipation. And this is a topic that we talk a lot about with our clients. Um, so we're going to talk about exactly what it is, why it's so important, and it's really just a window into your overall health. So we're going to give you some signs and symptoms, some connections, just some tips to like get things moving. It's honestly, I think, going to be a really great episode, and I'm excited. So, what's everybody been up to? Let me show you something so small and cute.
What is that?
It's a
It's a
diaper.
diaper.
Aww. Is
Not
it
a
yours?
sponsor. But
Just kidding.
look at these tiny. I like ordered. I'm like, I should probably order some diapers because I feel like this baby's coming. Who knows when? And they're so small and
So cute.
If you
cute.
want to
It's
see
just
what
crazy.
Kira's big volcano-like belly looks like, you should be watching on,
On
um,
YouTube.
yeah,
And
YouTube.
Yeah.
then you
So
have
I'll
to
do
tell the
a.
story about the volcano so they don't think Jensen's rude.
No, I was in. Me and Ellie were in Old Navy yesterday, getting her just some clothes because all of a sudden it's like cold outside and I'm like, you have no pants that fit you. I was talking about this a lot on the weekend. Like I crush it as a mom in a lot of different ways. I'm like killing it. I'm like, yes, go Kira. But when it comes to like clothing and preparation, I feel like I'm always caught off guard. Like all of a sudden it's like it's fall. She has no sweaters that fit, no pants that fit, no boots that fit, no toques. And I'm just like, oh my God, like what? Like are there people that are, like, ahead of the game on that? Because I
No,
need
that's just what
help.
happens when you grew up in Port McNeill where the weather is the same all year round, and we probably never got changes in wardrobes based on the season, so you're just not used to it. That's true.
Okay. That makes me feel a lot better because here it's, like, very clear, and, like, we went camping on the weekend. It was one of my best friends. There was a celebration of life for her mom, and we camped at, like, a golf course. It was actually so, like, sweet and intimate and, like, such a great idea, but it was freezing. And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, Ellie, you're just wearing, like, the weirdest combination of, like, socks and sandals and, like, a hoodie because you have no jackets or boots that fit you right now." I'm like, "Oh, this is embarrassing."
It's crazy, I feel like, especially in Alberta, as soon as August 15th hits, like, that nighttime cold is
Yes.
just so intense, and then
That's
it's
so
winter.
crazy because like, I go out on the deck every morning and journal, and I'm always just in my, like, tank top and short pajamas, and then, like, the last 3 days since the 15th, I'm like, "Holy shit, it's, like, 3 degrees out there."
I know, it just shifts, it's crazy.
It's crazy,
It's
yeah,
coming.
so I was in Old Navy getting
Oh, yeah.
Ellie some pants because she doesn't have any pants, and this lady was just like, "Oh, she's at this phase where she wears, like, a costume out of the house every time we leave, so she's in, like, a full tutu with, like, sparkles all over it and, like, wings. She's like, "Oh, she's so cute." Whatever, whatever. She's like, "You're having a boy this time?" And I was like, "Oh, we don't know." Those are her new shoes that we can hear stomping around on the
I
floor
can't
in the
hear anything.
background. Oh, she also got a new pair of plastic shoes. I could just hear them. But yeah, this lady's like, "Oh my gosh, like, you're having a boy next." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, we don't know what it is. We think it's a boy, though." She's like, "It's a boy. You volcano." She was like this little old Filipino lady. She's like, "You volcano." Like, just going making this movement with her hands about, like, how huge I am. I'm like, "Okay, well, I still have almost 3 months to go, so great."
So so that's why I
So,
said Kira looks like a volcano.
'cause I'm giant. I'm a giant. What have you guys been up to?
Lacey, I feel like you've had a lot going on. What have you been up to?
On the
Yeah,
road
I just got
again. On the road again, literally life on the road, it's hard out there for us, but no, it was really good. We were gone for 10 or 11 days, I think, and we did a little USA road trip. So we went to Nashville first. We had like a business mastermind retreat thing there with like 100 different business owners with our mentors. So that was really good. Very chill. Had like one good night out where we all got a little crazy, but it was really fun. Got bottle service and lived our best life. But that's what I was telling you guys about on the call the other day. I'm like, I was just laughing like mid club because I'll have like two drinks and in between each drink, I'll make sure I drink like a liter of water. But have you guys ever had those liquid death cans of water?
I haven't
No.
seen them. I haven't had them, but I've seen them a lot.
Yes, same.
Anyways, they're just, like, cool, and they look like a beer, and they're, like, so good because it's, like, cold canned water, and that's what
Ooh,
they always serve
excited.
at the clubs there when you get bottle service, and so I was hydrated, don't worry. And then we drove down to Georgia from Nashville, so we rented a car there, drove down to Nashville with our friends Aaron and Jordan, and then they have a nanny, and then their grandma also comes along to help with the kids, and then they have Jackson, who is, I think, 4 now, and then Marley's brand new baby, she's, like, 2 or 3 months old, so went down for a little family vacay. We kinda crashed theirs and went to their cabin. Well, it's so funny because it's not a cabin, it's a lake house mansion, but I always call it a cabin, and Aaron's like, "It's so cute how you always call our house a cabin." I'm like, "Well, that's just because it's on the lake, like, that's just a thing." But we chilled there, did lots of surfing, little bit of work, also quite chill, and then we went to Austin for Aaron's little sister, Megan. It was her 30th birthday, so me and Zach got the invite to that, so we also crashed that with Aaron and Jordan. We just tagged along the whole time, but it was really
So
fun.
fun.
We actually just went out for dinner at a restaurant. It was so good, and then we all went back to just Megan and Matt's house, and there was probably, like, 15 of us, and we didn't go out or anything. We just, like, chilled and talked and listened to music, and it was honestly really good, and it was so cute because at the beginning of the night this is such a good idea, you guys, if you're ever going to a birthday party, and we've done this, I think, at Shay Wood's bachelorette, but we pretty much one of the guys was just like, we did this at another birthday party, and I just think it's so cool, and we all went around and, like, said, like, our favorite thing about Megan, and it was just so cute. I love that. So you guys should do it if you're ever at a birthday party and you're
Yeah,
listening to
Lacey's
this.
like, "At my birthday, I want you to do that."
I feel like it would make me uncomfortable, but I think it's good. It's, like, good to be able to be, like, receiving and in that and just everyone, like, pouring so much love into you. I just think it's so cute. But I was telling I can't remember who I was telling this to because they're like, "Oh, what was your main takeaway from the trip?" or whatever, but it's so funny because in settings like that or like when we're at the business mastermind or anything, like anytime Zach has to like talk, I like get so stressed for him and I'm like so worried. And it's so funny how it's shifted because before in like a sharing circle like that, the whole time I'd be like, what am I going to say? Like practicing my speech in my head like over and over again. And now I'm like, what's Zach going to say? Like, hopefully he like thinks of this and hopefully he doesn't say, and I'm just so worried. And every single time he just like proves me wrong. And I'm like, you're actually really deep. Like, you actually know exactly what to say. And you like went on this big tangent because Megan helps people with relationships and like getting out of insecure, anxious attachment and like kind of moving to like a secure relationship. And he just like went on this big spiel about how she's helping so many people fall in love and like just like look at you go, honey. It was so cute.
That's so cute. Good job,
But when I
Zach.
was, like, putting together my little photo dump for the trip and just, like, reflecting on it, I'm like, honestly, that was, like, the perfect vacation trip for me, like, business mastermind, being around, like, a whole bunch of, like, higher level people, and then, like, at a chill cabin, getting to, like, surf and be outside and have a pool, and then it's warm, and then just ending it with, like felt like a lot of, like, connection and community because we just, like, all sat in a room for, like, 10 hours, but, yeah, it was really good. So, that's what I've been up to.
Fun.
That one picture of Zach
So
in the pool was just so funny on your post, and I love how everybody was like, "Why is Zach in the pool the
Well, it's
funniest
so
picture?"
funny
And, like, so
because
cute.
Zach loves the water, and we always kinda, like, joke around that he's just like a fish because he's such a kid, like, we'll go on the boat, and all of a sudden we'll be like, "Where's Zach?" And he's, like, 100 meters away, and he's, like, floating on top of the water, and his head's in the water, and he's, like, blowing bubbles, like, he grew up on a lake, so he just, like, loves swimming, and he's just always swimming or in the water or on the boat, like, that's just where he lives his best life, but do you ever just, like, take a picture or a video and you're, like, gonna put it on your story, and then you just end up deleting it and not putting it on there? So that's what I did when I took
Yeah.
that picture, and exactly what I was gonna say was like, if there's one thing about Zach, if there's a body of water, he's gonna be in it. But I didn't end up posting it because I was like, nobody cares. And then that
I
was
feel
like
like
what
I can't
everyone
even I
Yeah.
wrote.
wanna look at what it is. I forget what it is.
I'm
He's
just
just
like
in the
up on the
pool alone.
yeah.
He's just like
Oh,
And I'm
like
like up on the balcony, so it's like really he looks like really
okay,
small.
yes, yes, I
yeah, and
remember
So
he's
it's
one.
just
like,
like smiling like a little dweeb and it's so cute.
yeah, it's cute.
Aw. Well, that does sound like a good trip. So that's it kind of for the end of summer for you guys?
Yeah, honestly, we have a lot of visitors in the next little bit. So our friend is coming here for this weekend, and then Marina, our little sister, will be here for maybe 2 days, maybe 6. They haven't decided yet. They're just gonna see how
Good.
they feel. I'm like, "Cool."
With the kids or
Yeah, with the kids. So I'm
okay.
so excited. I hope they end up staying, but I think if it's, like, too hot here, it's not really that much fun for them, but the weather's looking good, so I don't think it'll be too bad.
Because 'Cause they're
Um,
on the island right now?
yeah.
Looks like? Okay.
Yeah, they're on the island, they have a wedding, I think, this weekend, and then they're gonna be here on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then they might leave Thursday or they might leave Sunday. They haven't decided yet. Okay, well, don't worry about me and my plans,
Yeah.
Marina. No, I'm just kidding. It was honestly
Non-planned.
Mark. It's like, "Did Mark just say this to Zach that you guys might stay the weekend or like what?" She's like, "Well, I didn't know we were gonna maybe stay the weekend." I was like, "Well, I hope you do," but they don't know yet, so we'll see.
Cool. Fun.
Yeah.
Fun,
What about you,
fun.
Jeb? You helped Maddie move.
No, we haven't yet. We do that
Oh.
Wednesday.
Oh.
Yeah, we do the big move Wednesday, and then I'll stay out there for, like, the week. We're gonna stay at our, well, his, like, family friend's place in Vernon, like, for the first, like, 4 days, so they, like, have, like, a condo on I think it's I can't remember which lake it is right now, Calmelka, and so we'll stay there with his parents for, like, a couple days, and then after that, we'll go back and go to Kamloops, and then I'll come back here, and then I threw a surprise birthday party for Matt, which was really, really fun.
Oh, I saw that. I was like,
Yeah.
at first, I was like, what the fuck? Jensen didn't even mention anything about a party. Then I'm like, oh, it's a surprise. So, of course, she couldn't like say it.
I know, and he's been home, and, like, I was trying to organize it with his mom and, like, his sister, and his mom would always be like, call me," and I'm like, "'Kay, I work from home. Matt is home, has no reason to leave. It'd be really weird if I was just like, I'm just gonna sneak downstairs for a bit. Because usually when he's home, we like take the dog out at the same time. We do everything together. So it was so hard organizing everything. And the one day I had to like go, I went to seriously 3 different cities in one day, and he was home the whole day, and I'm like, "If he was at work, this would be so easy," but I, like, went onto his phone and stopped took myself off of the location, thinking that he wouldn't get
Oh,
the
no.
little, like, thing saying, "Jensen stopped sharing her location with you," and, of course, I'm, like, driving into Burnaby, and he calls me, and he's like, "Why did your location just turn off?" And I'm like, "Hmm, I don't know." I'm like, "It must be glitching. Let me look into that." And I'm like, "Fuck, fuck,
Did you
fuck."
get
And so then yeah, well, and then he's like, "My head was going so many different places." I'm like, "Oh my god." I'm like, "Seriously, just, like, hold off." And then I finally ended up just saying, I was like, because I could tell he was, like, annoyed at me and weirded out, and so I finally just said, I'm like, "I'm going to run errands for your parents," 'cause he hadn't seen them yet for his birthday, and I was like, "I'm grabbing your birthday present, that's why I turned off my location, just don't ask questions."
nice?
And then
Do you think he bought that?
he did buy it,
Okay,
he,
good.
like, actually did, and then he I was out for literally all day, and he had no idea the whole entire time, and there's so many little things, like, I just wanted to, like, tell him about throughout, but he didn't know until we got there, because his mom was acting was acting really weird. When we got to the door, she's like, "Hello, like, come on in." And there was, like, purses that they didn't hide, and he was like, "Yeah, as soon as I, like, saw her acting weird and, like, opening the door for us and, like, the purses were there, then I kinda had an idea," but I was pretty proud that we managed to keep it a secret up until that point. And then other than that, we've just been kinda, like, getting ready for him to go. It's been pretty chill for the most part, but yeah,
Nice. I
that's all I
love
have.
surprise parties. It's so fun.
I know, so do I. I've the only ever time I've had a surprise party thrown for me, it was my 16th birthday, and my friends were acting really weird, and I was like, "Okay, I kind of, like, know this is happening." So I feel like I've never had a surprise party or even really seen a surprise party where the people are, like, genuinely surprised as soon as they walk through the door. Like, even Matt started to have an idea before he saw the people. So, it wasn't a complete success, but it was pretty good.
Oh, that's awesome. I think I
Yeah,
threw
that's
one
so
for Brett's
fun.
30th birthday. I'm pretty sure it was his
Oh,
30th.
that's funny.
And he, like,
Yeah.
had no idea, and he was so bitchy because like, nobody wanted to hang out for his 30th birthday, like, he was so mad.
Aw.
And Ellie was, like, 3 months old. I'm like, "What do you expect me to, like, go out with you? Like, should we have a 3-month-old?" And, like, his parents all came to town and then said they were leaving, like, the day before his birth like, he was just so mad, and so then he, like, ended up yeah, it was so funny, and then
That's
we
kinda like Matt. I was like, "Are you gonna do anything with your friends?" This was even before I planned it, and he was like, I don't know." Like, I'm like, "Okay, well, you have to do something with your friends." And I was like, "Do you want me to plan something?" He was like, "Sure, yeah, I guess." And then I just never did. So I was like, I felt kind of bad because all we did was like, well, not all we did. We went for like a really nice dinner, and I was just like, kind of felt bad I didn't do anything else because it is his 30th birthday and people make a big deal about 30th
yeah.
birthdays. So I was happy I was able to do at least something, especially with him leaving. So you just got to see everyone before he leaves.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. So
yeah.
fun.
Before he's off to law school.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah,
tries to
so
come
we have
at
a
us,
lawyer on our side if you
we have
guys
a
wanna
lawyer.
Yeah. If one person tries to sue us.
know.
But yeah, should we
Um,
get into it?
yeah, let's get
Poop
into it.
Yeah.
day? I feel like people are always like, I don't know if this is TMI, but like I haven't pooped yet. And I'm like, oh God, no, I literally talk about poop all day, every day. So I think the first couple things we should talk about are like what counts as constipation and kind of just how to like start to watch out for it.
Yeah, I think that's good because also it was funny when I was, like, studying for this podcast, I'm like, "This is hilarious that I'm, like, studying poop and
Yeah.
constipation
What is my
as our
life?
job." We love that. Um, but no, it's definitely something that we hear so much, and I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea because 'cause I've never been a constipated girly. I always kinda ran on the other side of things, which is technically still constipation, and we'll probably get into that, but I just had no idea that it was, like, as normalized as it is, and I'm talking probably 70-75% of people or women that we talk to don't poop 1 to 3 times every single day, and so
Yeah.
we'll just get that out of the way, like, you can't normalize it even if you've been like that your whole entire life, and your mom is probably also like that, which is probably also why you've normalized it, but you wanna be pooping 1 to 3 times every day for sure,
Every
so
single fucking day.
And
Okay.
good poops.
And good poops. There's actually something called the Bristol stool chart. You can Google it. There's like a million pictures, and like it's honestly good to just start paying attention and seeing. It just kind of rates your poop from like a 1 to I think like a 8 or something like
yeah,
that.
I can't remember.
And if you're in like the 1 to 2 type, that's constipation, and it shows you like exactly what your like log will look like, but it's also if you're like straining, if you have to push really hard or if you're not.
It's
What?
just so funny you
Your
said
log.
log. What your log will look like.
Oh god, I have a toddler, okay?
Yeah, I
It's like,
know, that's
"This
why
is
it
a
was
big
cute.
log," as she's, like, pushing it out. I'm like, "Okay." Um, but yeah, so if like, I know a lot of people will struggle with, like, not fully emptying their bowels, that also is a sign of constipation. If you're bloated after you poop, and, like, once in a while, like, sometimes I just randomly have a day where I'm like, "Whoa, this was bad." Like, that's okay to be, like, constipated, like, once in a blue moon, but you want to be the main thing is that you're pooping every single day, and if you're not going daily, I know this is something we talk about on the drainage pathway episode, so go back and re-listen to that one, but you're literally, like, leaving the toxins and the garbage in your body to start to recirculate
Reabsorb.
around.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I think before we kinda go into that a little bit too, just a reminder as well is if you need help or support or the perfect setting or whatever, like, it doesn't mean you're not constipated if you take Metamucil every single night so that you can poop in the morning, like, you're constipated if you have to
Yes.
rely on tools or you have to take, like, 700 milligrams of magnesium, like, it's not you
Yeah.
wanna be pooping without the help.
Yes, and I think it's really common for doctors to just be like, "Here's Restorelax, here's Miralax," and, like, you just start taking that, and then all of a sudden you've been taking it for, like, 3 years. Um, and yeah, that's not good either.
No, you're not constipated because 'cause you're lacking Miralax.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, exactly.
You don't have a Restorelax deficiency.
Deficiency, yeah.
So, why does
Okay.
this even matter? Which Kira, you kind of started talking about. Obviously, the way that we poop, the colon, that's like the bottom of our drainage funnel. And so it's kind of like the last place that toxins and excess hormones, specifically estrogen, are excreted from the body. So obviously, if they ain't leaving, they're staying and they will get reabsorbed and recirculated into places where you just don't want them to be. It's putting like double the work on your liver because now your liver's having to do it again with those toxins because it's just kind of going into a circle. So you're not getting rid of those excess toxins as excess hormones, and they will get reabsorbed, which is going to lead to a lot of issues, kind of all the normal things that we always not normal, common things that we always talk about. Um, I don't know, Jeb, do you want to talk a little bit about like the gut health?
Yeah, and I was just gonna say that I think when we're talking about constipation, the main symptom that people experience is bloating. But I think what we're trying to get across is that there are much more serious symptoms than bloating alone when it comes to constipation. And so, although like bloating is something that's really, really annoying and difficult to deal with, there are other things happening when you're that constipated that it's showing up as bloating that's going on as well. Um, but I think just in terms of, like, the gut health component, once again, just going off of what Lacey and Kira have both said, is that when we're not properly getting rid of those of what we're consuming, essentially, then what happens is there's, like, a lot of stagnation in our gut. I think we all listened potentially to this podcast. Lacey, you sent it in, but it was a girl that does colonics, and she was talking about how much poop you can, like, hold in your colon, and wasn't it something crazy, like 30 pounds of
Yeah, it's 30 pounds.
so which is just insane, and so that when we're holding on to that amount of poop for who knows how long that even goes back, then we see, like, a lot of things like bacterial overgrowth happening in that gas, and that's where that bloating comes from, and so it's so much more when we look at, like, the bacterial overgrowth, what happens there, and that can cause further issues down the road as well, and
Yeah, and I think
absorption issues and
yeah, then you're starting to get into, like, minerals, but I think we really want to, like, remove constipation from being more than a GI issue,
Mhm.
but like what Lacey said, and then kind of part of what Jensen said too, it's like when that gets stuck, it's supposed to be eliminating excess hormones. So if we're talking about estrogen, if you're not excreting that excess estrogen, it will start to recirculate in your body. This is what we see. It's called estrogen dominance. It's so common. It starts to push down your progesterone. You're going to struggle with things like acne, inability to lose weight, fertility issues. Like estrogen dominance is really, really common, I think, with a lot, and like anything to do with your cycle. If it's irregular, if it's really painful, if your flow is like super, super heavy, this is like telltale estrogen dominance. And like one of the number one contributors to that is just like not pooping daily. So you can't, it's not just a gut issue, it becomes like a whole systemic issue inside your body. And from there, we're like actually slowing down thyroid function, which is physically slowing down motility and how things move in your gut, and then adding, making your constipation even worse.
yeah.
So it's just so important to be pooping.
Yeah, it's super easy to get into that cycle. And doesn't the poop or the whatever we wanna call it, it feeds also the bad bacteria, which in the gut.
Well, it just start when it slows down, it's just like sitting there. And then the bad bacteria is going to grow and like fester, and the good bacteria isn't going to have the space that it needs and
To flourish.
to flourish. Yeah. So we're going to start to see overgrowths, and then we're going to see just an explosion of symptoms, basically.
Well, and it's just so funny, like, there's once again, we talk about how we, like, have these calls with women, and they're like, "Yeah, I wanna deal with this and this and this, and I wanna lose 10 pounds," and then you're like, "Okay, are you pooping every day?" And it's like, 9 times out of 10, it's either no or it's like strained or diarrhea or whatever it looks like. And so, as a society, I think we've just been like conditioned to think that it's just normal and you just take magnesium citrate or you take some form of laxative and then that issue is solved. But similar to what Lacey said was saying, you just want to be able to do that naturally through the way you eat, etc. So I think that kind of leads us into why you're constipated. Once
Well,
again,
and
like we were
one
saying, it's not a laxative deficiency.
yeah. I did wanna touch a little bit on the nervous system before we just
Yeah,
because it's a signal to your body, like, your body expects you to be pooping every day, it knows, your body's like, "These are toxins, this is our, train track to get garbage out of the body." So, it is a stress feedback loop if you're not going poop and you're like your cortisol is starting to raise. It can literally cause anxiety, especially if you are aware and now you're listening to this podcast and you're like, "Oh my god, I don't poop." So there's that aspect of it too that is also going to contribute to like the hormonal issues, your gut health, your digestion is going to start to struggle, all of those things too. So,
because it's the last part of the drainage system, right?
yeah.
Like everything is gonna your brain, your skin, your lymph, it all is going to like it comes to that's the final stop on the train tracks, as Kira
Yeah.
said. And so if that's backed up, the lymphatic drainage you're doing, the dandelion root tea you're drinking, the dry brushing you're doing, it still doesn't have a way to properly excrete if that final pathway isn't open.
Yeah. Boom.
Boom, also, and this is kind of like a little bit woo-woo and stuff, but you're also, like, letting things go when
Mhm.
you're pooping,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And so if you're, like, holding it in and you're not pooping, you're also, like, storing motions and everything
Yeah.
like that, and then it just goes into more, like, you're more stressed out, you get more anxiety, then that kind of like, you have to be in a relaxed state, you can't be fight or flight to have a good solid poop. So, that's a little bit I don't know if that's too left field, but it's true, I think
No,
anyways.
I think there's a lot to that.
And that's like a perfect entryway into the like what we see causing it. And I think that's more of like, well, that's almost like both. It's like it causes constipation if you aren't like open with your thoughts and your feelings and your words and your boundaries. If you don't have that flow of energy constantly, it's probably going to make you constipated. And then as you get constipated, you're less likely to actually share those things and let that flow happen. So it's like a double it's just a big crazy loop.
Yeah, and if you're not in a place, if every single morning you're waking up, running around the house, so stressed out from the moment you open your eyes, your body needs to feel safe. It needs to have the time to go to the washroom. And if you're not
Yes.
giving yourself that time, that's another component of it. So many of us wake up, get the kids ready, get ourselves ready, rush out the door, and then we wonder like why we're not pooping. But did you give your body even 2 minutes to be able to do so?
Yeah. That's always one of the first questions I ask. I'm like, "Are you making time for it, or are you just expecting your body to, like, have a nice poop
Yeah, this is
without?"
where women could take a lesson and a note from men.
Men, oh my God.
I'm like, Zach has no problem carving out 45 minutes to go poop that he needs to have. And I'm like,
Okay,
okay.
well,
But
that's not
it's funny,
ideal
all
either.
guys do that, I feel like. So we could take a note from them, but that's about it. That's the only note.
When Matt does that though, I'm like, that's so bad for your pelvic floor." And
It
he's like, "What do you
is.
want from me?" Like, I'm
And
going,
your
isn't that good?
butthole, and it's
Yeah.
also disgusting because 'cause you're sitting on your phone with poo particles floating everywhere, and that just ugh,
I
grosses
just
me
don't
out
get
so
it. I
much.
don't know how they sit there for that long. It's actually like when Matt is like, "Okay, I'm going to shower." I'm like, "Okay, see you in an hour." And I know you're not in the shower the whole entire time
Like,
you're
are
gone, but
you okay?
yeah.
It's so funny.
So yeah, giving
Um,
yourself time, being in a good place, being in that like rest and digest nervous system state.
mhm, mhm.
And
Um,
then dietary will kind of move into because obviously that's a huge component.
yeah, I mean, I think we all know, like, low fiber intake can really mess with our um,
Digestion.
thank you. Just, like, the way so fiber actually helps pull things into our stool and, like, liquid into the stool so that we can, like, have a well-formed log. Say it again. Drink every time I say log. So I think, like, honestly that is a huge piece of the puzzle. If you're not like another thing too that I'm always like talking about with people that I chat with about the program and stuff, it's like you can't expect to poop if you're not actually ever eating enough. So there's just like plain old under eating. Like if you're not getting enough calories in your body, you're not going to be pooping regularly. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of like common sense. And then, yeah, two big ones that we see within that are like lack of fiber and dehydration. So it's always like, how's your water intake? Are you remineralizing? Are you getting like your electrolytes in? And what's your kind of fiber status at? So it can be nice to just check out like what your fiber is because I think it's one that's easy to forget. And I remember saying this to Jensen and Lacey. I'm like, "Oh, I eat a ton of zucchini and it's like full of fiber." And they're like, "No, Kira, it's like a cucumber. There's no fiber in zucchini." And I was like, "Shit." So just like actually looking into what your fiber intake is probably a great idea. And you should be shooting for like 30, 35 grams.
And it's hard. Like, if you're
Mm-hmm.
not paying attention to it and you're not trying, you're probably not hitting it is something that I really realize when I start tracking. If I haven't for
Yeah.
a while, I'm like, whew, like I need to ramp this up a little bit because it is really hard. And there's also like a difference between the soluble versus insoluble fiber. So one's going to like dissolve in that water and create that like gel like substance. And then the other one's going to help slow down digestion, aid in like that bulk to your stool. And if you're someone that like struggles with like really runny stools as well. So like you want a combination of the two of them as well.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to just have some like Google, or we could even put together a free resource probably of just like some high fiber foods, but I just try to like buy one or two every time I go to the grocery store, like because it is hard. And if you're not actively aware or trying, you're probably not hitting it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
So
like chia seeds and raspberries are both really
those are
high.
my two.
Yeah. So just like chia
One
seeds are
that
so
always,
easy.
yeah, one that always surprises me is avocados are
Oh,
like really high in fiber.
freaking like, can we take a moment for avocados? Like, they're just
They're the
out
Potassium.
there,
best.
they're high in potassium, they're a healthy fat, lots of fiber. Forget
It's
about them.
crazy.
Yes.
Other things,
I think
dehydration.
yeah. Well, I think Kira kind of mentioned that was the just dehydration, making sure you're getting your minerals, drinking your
Okay,
water,
yeah.
remineralizing your water. And then lifestyle obviously plays a role. If you're super stressed out, you're super tight, you're super tense, like that poop isn't going to be going anywhere. And then your gut also has a circadian rhythm. And so it is very normal to kind of like you should be pooping at the same time. And the optimal time is to poop in the morning because that's kind of when it correlates with the cortisol and everything like that. And so it is, I don't want to say normal, it's common to not poop if you're, like, traveling or you're in a different time zone or whatever like that, and that can be a combination of things of just, like, your whole circadian rhythm being off and your body doesn't know where you are at or if it's okay to take a poop now or whatever, like, I think that's common. Um, so just kind of being out of
Routine. You're also
rout
drinking less water, you're also moving less. There's so many different components when it comes to the
Yeah,
travel
and you probably got like
constipation.
less sleep the night before and
Yeah.
just like you're up earlier and you are kind of running around in the morning because you're like, we're trying to get to the airport or whatever. So yeah, just even like supporting a little bit ahead of time is really helpful. And even on times like that, I'll like purposely up my fiber or I will supplement with some sort of like bowel mover thing so that I know I'm gonna get like a good poop in the morning because it's the worst when you're like at the airport and you're like, I haven't shit yet today. Like this sucks.
and it's always because you gotta get up at, like, 4 AM, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
so yeah, just lifestyle in general, and then lack of movement if you're sitting all day, like, it's just funny how much of this, like, correlates with the poop itself, right? Like, if you're anxious and tight, that's how your poop is. If you're sitting all day and you're not moving your body and you're not like, your digestion doesn't have a chance to get going and everything becomes stagnant, like, you're not gonna poop, so it's good, like, that's why going for a walk after each meal is just so much more than getting your steps in. It helps so much with your overall digestion, it's gonna help get everything moving, it will help you poop. Like, that's my routine. It's like I eat breakfast, go for a walk, and then every day, same time, there I'm at before my coffee. I don't need coffee to go poop either.
Oh, yeah, we should have mentioned that if you need coffee to poop, it's like, no.
You're
But something I wanted
constipated.
to say too is like our body does the most of that, like Jensen was talking about our drainage funnel and like cellular is up at the top. And most of that cellular detoxification happens at night when we're sleeping. So that's why you should be pooping kind of like in your liver is also working the hardest during the night to like do that phase two detox. So when we wake up in the morning, we're kind of like full of toxin and you want that like moving first thing. And sometimes that takes time to get to as well. So just like remembering, but the most important thing you can do is like set yourself up with a good morning routine so that you have the time to go.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it just really all comes down to the foundations. I hate to say it, but everything we're talking about is the foundations.
But as far as other root causes, I think like we've kind of covered most of them. We do see some certain medications, even like birth control can mess with it. But I know a lot of people on like SSRIs and any type of pain management pill killer is usually going to also mess with your bowel movement. So just something to think about if you have been on those long term, whether you're deciding to try to find a way to get off of them or you want to stay on them, you do need to be really supporting your bowel movements even more because that is an added burden on your liver and your like mineral reserves. So you really need to be like moving the toxins out even
Yeah.
more so.
Even a medication not mentioned, GLP-1s are gonna slow down your motility. And so if you are on them and you're not going to the washroom or you're experiencing a lot of GI issues, which I know are a very common side effect, they like directly slow motility. And so it's going to cause all of those issues that we are talking about,
Yeah, and
right?
I think it's just like, again, if you zoom out, like the point of a GLP-1, like Ozempic or whatever, because we naturally have GLP-1, but that's another side tangent, is like to slow down the way that you digest food so that you feel fuller for longer so that you eat less. And so it's like, okay, well, that food, that just means it's staying inside your system for longer. Like everything is slowing down. So it makes sense that your poop would also slow down.
And
Not
then
to mention
also
everyone on that is usually severely undereating.
yeah, that's a whole other whole other episode we should probably do. But 2, as soon as you slow down motility, like, your thyroid function's gonna slow down, and it's gonna further slow down motility, and, like, most people with sluggish thyroid function are also experiencing constipation, so it's just you can see now, like, I've said, like, 7 things now in this episode that, like, this causes this, which, like, brings you back to the original symptom, and then it exacerbates this symptom, so exasper how do you say that?
That sounded great. Nailed
Okay.
it.
So I think, we often just think it's like one thing, like, oh, I'm just a little constipated, but it's like that could literally be contributing to all of your issues and then making your constipation worse and all of your issues worse. So I just really want people to understand that these things are so multifactorial and all of your symptoms could literally be kind of like brought back to that one thing.
Well, and
And
it's even kinda
everything's so
hard to tell,
connected.
like, which came first, the chicken or the
Exactly.
egg, right? Because it's like, oh, we see a lot of constipation with women with estrogen dominance, but is it the constipation that caused estrogen dominance and that's why? Or is it like it's so it's hard, but that's why it's important to hire a root cause coach
Yeah, I
and
was
get to
gonna
the root
say to
cause of your
test.
symptoms.
Yeah. So yeah, if you are kind of like concerned listening to this episode, if nothing works, we'll talk about a lot about like what to do and how to do it after in a minute here, but if you do all of this and nothing's really working and you feel like it's time to dig deeper, you could consider working with a functional practitioner. I happen to know if you need me to put you in contact with one. But like to actually testing your minerals are probably the best place to start, honestly, because they're giving us a picture of, what your stomach acid is like, what your stress is like, your detoxification potential, your nervous system, your adrenals. Like we find out so much from testing your minerals. And there's a ton of different patterns in our minerals that can like show us constipation. Like if you have a calcium shell, if your magnesium is low, if you have low copper, like we could literally go on for days of all the different markers and how we see them show up. So I think minerals are a really, really great place to start. And even just like getting aware of what minerals are and making sure you're remineralizing your water. is really, really powerful. But oftentimes they help so much for our clients with constipation is starting to do the remineralization protocols.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. But even just to, like, simplify it for you guys, minerals is kinda what hydrates our cells. So if we're dehydrated because our minerals are depleted, regardless if we're drinking all of the water in the world, especially if you're not remineralizing, filtering, and drinking good quality of water, you could drink 4 liters of water and be dehydrated. And so that's kinda how minerals play such a big role is it'll tell us exactly what you need more of, and then if we can just fix that from the root, we know exactly what's going on, then your cells will be properly hydrated for
Yeah.
yeah, that
And
makes
I
sense,
think
right?
yeah, I think a lot of people when they have any GI issues going on, the first place they want to start is doing a GI map or like a gut test. But the reason why we really recommend starting with those minerals and the foundations is because if you get your GI map results back and you aren't pooping daily and you are super depleted, you're not going to get the best results from the GI map protocol to begin with. And so that's why we always start with that when you might think, oh, well, why wouldn't we just test the gut and see what's going on there first?
Yeah, because if you're not pooping, 1, you wouldn't be able to do a stool test, and that's the way that we're gonna get your results, so that's gonna be the first problem we're gonna run into.
So true.
But a lot of the things that we would fix or heal or a lot of your, like, supplement protocol, if we did find, oh, you have SIBO or you have Candida overgrowth or parasites, which are all very common gut issues that are linked to constipation, they're quite heavy, like, detox protocols that your body if you're not pooping, if you're not getting rid of those toxins, there's no point in, like, increasing the amount of toxins that we're gonna try to excrete from your body when it's not even leaving you in the first place, so you're just gonna end up getting way sicker, you're gonna get way more tired, you're gonna feel way shittier, and your healing journey is just pun intended. Your healing journey is just gonna be a lot longer, so it's like, even as us, like, as functional coaches, that's the first thing that we look to even understand if a client could handle a deeper rooted gut test or protocol is like, are you pooping every day? And minerals just play such a huge role. And it's almost like the easy thing that they're so foundational. It's like, well, let's just test those because we've never had anyone come back optimal. I'm waiting for that
Yeah.
to be for me to not be able to say that, but I can still
Mhm.
say it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, they're like the low-hanging fruit, honestly.
Yeah.
It's quite simple usually to start, but what makes them difficult and what makes it so important is that there's a root cause to your minerals being depleted and it's typically some sort of chronic stress. So then we also have to start to work on like, okay, what are you holding in that you've never said since you were a kid? And sometimes like even that release is like what is kind of backing you up and when you start to kind of get to that like emotional piece of the puzzle where you're like, okay, I have clearly chronically burnt my adrenals out for 30 years and like I can't deny this fact anymore and I kind of have to deal with it. And it's also going to do things like deplete your stomach acid and that's going to contribute to like a lot of the out of whack markers that we see on the gut tests anyway. So it's kind of just a really cool place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so those are just some pretty much if we're going to give you guys some advice of what you can do to help with constipation and if those don't work then it's like okay I'm going to start to dig deeper but
Yeah.
honestly for most of you for constipation you're probably stressed you probably have no time in the morning you're probably not drinking water you're probably not eating balanced whole food meals you're probably not getting enough fiber so it's like do those things and then if you're still not pooping it's like okay we got to dig deeper and that is kind of the places that we would start so first your HTMA getting your minerals we'll focus on that. We'll fix those. And then maybe you'll start pooping. Maybe that was the root cause. You were just dehydrated at a cellular level. And then, oh, I'm still constipated. It's still not working. Cool. Now we can either go into a gut test or I think thyroid was the other one that we would test, right? That's linked to
Yeah.
constipation a lot of the times.
And just
Yeah.
continuing to focus like that timeline. I think when we hear that from like a listener's perspective, it might be like, oh, that didn't work after a couple days. Now I need to do my gut test and my thyroid test, but it's going to take time. Once again, we're reversing like a lifelong pattern and lifelong habits. It might not switch overnight, and maybe it will if you are just like chronically under eating and never focusing on fiber, but it might take some time.
Okay, so now that you know when to dig deeper, let's go
What the heck
into
do we
some of the
do?
things that we can do that will help that are kind of a good starting place. So I think we can kind of just start with hydration and minerals because we've kind of talked about just the importance of that. And it's not something that we're like, okay, you should just, take as much magnesium, sodium, calcium as you can. But it's good to just start taking those little habits like trace minerals in your water, filtering your water, adding those in. That's probably like the best place to start because, again, even with this, you don't really want to just guess what minerals you might be lacking, but nobody is going to be harmed by adding trace minerals to your water.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, it's not medical
Exactly.
advice.
Well, and something
So,
cool.
sorry, the first thing we're saying is just hydration, trace minerals.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
get them
go
Drink
in.
ahead,
enough
Tara.
water, but focusing on water quality and adding in the trace minerals. It's a good place to start.
Yeah, and I think too something that I feel like we somehow haven't mentioned by now, but it's just like you can see from or hear from listening to this episode, like it's an increased toxic burden when you're not pooping and these things are recirculating. So starting to love on your liver a bit can oftentimes be a really big piece of the puzzle. Our liver helps with so much. It's also like, working on our bile flow, which is just going to move everything and help us digest. So maybe it is something like digestive bitters before your meals, or even just like bitter foods before you're eating, or like apple cider vinegar on like a little bit of arugula while you're making supper. Like that can actually really help things a lot. It starts to fire up that digestive juice and just helps us like break things down properly. And then supporting our liver in other ways with like castor oil packs and dry brushing and all the, like the nettle tea, like we've talked about that a lot on this podcast, but then also like looking at the toxins in your house and in your environment. Like if you're using candles, like scented, if you're using anything from Bath and Body Works, like it's contributing to your constipation just straight up 100%. And so like that's often a nice place to start is like, okay, I don't have to buy all these like a million things and like do a bunch of different stuff. It's like just stop using garbage, toxic products on your body and then expecting it to just deal with it, because there is so much pressure on our bodies and so much, even if you are living a perfectly healthy lifestyle, you still live in a planet that's like kind of has a lot of toxins circulating around it. So that is added on to that burden as well. And we just need to relieve some of that on our bodies every once in a while. So
Yeah, and I
sorry,
think
Bath Body Works.
but even outside of Bath& and Body Works, like, these overpriced candle brands and lotion brands that we are paying $60 for a candle or a small bottle of lotion, they are just as bad, if not worse, than Bath& and Body Works. So if you're paying a high price for, like, a luxury product instead of going to Bath& and Body Works, if it still has those synthetic fragrances and filled with chemicals and toxins, it's just as bad as the Bath& and Body Works. It's just
Yeah.
labeled and marketed differently.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep, and
Exactly.
that's on that.
So you do want to lower your toxic
Yeah.
load to just kind of support your body a little bit more. That's not necessarily going to like heal your constipation, but it will help your body as you are constipated. I
Yeah,
don't
and I've seen some crazy
Yeah.
results in terms of castor oil packs with digestion,
Mhm.
just even for myself, but my clients and people I've kind of gotten to get on them, and it can help so, so much, but something we just wanna be mindful of with castor oil packs, if you've never done them, we do wanna ease into them because if your liver is overburdened and we start doing them for, like, a full night or multiple days in a row, I also have seen some detoxification, effects in that sense, like headaches, GI issues, so we just wanna ease into them, but if you are experiencing that from castor oil packs, it's probably a sign that you need them, so
That's what I was gonna just say. It's just so funny when I talk about castor oil packs, just like with a group of friends or whatever. And they're like, I tried them once and it made me so sick. Like, don't you want to put a warning on that? I'm like, yeah, that means you need to do it way more,
Yeah.
actually.
They
exactly.
actually say that it's like it's likely just dehydration and your detox pathways just aren't there's in order to detox at all, the river has to be flowing and that river is water. And it's why we've mentioned water and minerals and hydration so many times. And Yeah, that's kind of what they say about castor oil packs is that if you have any symptom at all, you need to be drinking more water. That's your first step always. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think even before we go too much, because so far we've only said one thing, which is like hydrate for what you can do with your constipation. It's really a good idea just to reflect. Like that's why I always like doing calls with people who are interested in our program or just interested in learning more information because it does help to reflect. How long have you been constipated? Has this been a lifelong thing? Did something in your life change when all of a sudden you
Yeah.
became constipated? Did you like completely remove a food or add a new food into your diet and now all of a sudden you're constipated? That's like a very it's just important to do because it's very different. If it is more of a long-term, lifelong issue, it's probably gonna be a little bit of a deeper rooted issue than if you've just been constipated out of nowhere for the last 2 weeks, and then you're like, "Oh, yeah, I've been, like, traveling, and I haven't been eating fiber," and everything like
Yeah.
that. So take the time because a lot of the times we don't, and we're just, like, so disconnected from what's happening in our body, and so it is so powerful to just, like, journal around your poop, and I know nobody likes to talk about poop, and it's always so funny, like, anytime I make a reel about poop, 1, it always performs really well because I know everyone is constipated, but 2, I'll get so many messages, "I just love how you talk about poop and say poop," and I'm like, "It's crazy how, like, scary it is for people or, like,
Yeah.
they just nobody talks about it ever," and I'm like, "We all do it, or we should every day." I think it's wild.
Oh, yeah, too, and, like, sometimes it's, like, it's deep and it's painful and it's like, "Oh, shit." Haha. It, like, started when I got this new job that I fucking hate, or it started when I, like, started hanging out with this person more, or it started when I was a kid and this crazy thing happened that I've never really allowed myself to, like, work through and heal from, or, like, actually, I've just always been I was constipated as a kid, and my mom said she always was too. So it's like sometimes we have to, like, really freaking dig into it, and it can be painful, but I think, like what Lacey said, just, like, allowing yourself to start reflecting and maybe making it funny, like, "Here I am journaling about my shit, like, wow, this is weird," and maybe it'll open up a new relationship with yourself that you've never really had because it is kind of like a funny topic, and you can make it light if you want to, but it's probably
Yeah.
Well, and I
I
feel like
think
some families aren't, like, poop families, that's what I always call them, like,
mm,
some families, like, no one talks about their poop, like, you growing up, it's like you do not talk about poop or farts or anything, and I'm like, I was a poop family, like,
yes.
you could talk about poop all you wanted, and so, I think that is even another thing, like, if pooping was something that was so, like, I don't know, like,
right.
frowned
I know
upon
someone who's been
almost.
married for, like, over 20 years, and her husband has never heard her fart, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
No, that's a thing. I know, I
That's a
always
thing.
forget that too. I always forget about that, that people don't actually, like, talk about it, so it's like, "Oh, now you're starting
Yeah,
this big protocol because 'cause you're not pooping, but you, like, don't wanna tell your husband that you're, like, constipated," like,
and you,
which
like,
is just
don't
so
wanna shit.
weird,
Do you
and
want to poop
that's
more? Maybe that's a question you need to ask, like
yeah, but that's
Well,
a
like
good reminder, Jeb, is, like, we're just so casually because we were all poop families and so
yeah.
it's, like, easy for us to talk about it, but a lot of people, you're totally right, like, you just don't, and you don't mention it at all, which is, like, well, that's why we started this podcast for you non-poop family
it's
people
just
out there.
Yeah.
mind-blowing to think about, but I'm sure they're like, "I can't believe you guys are talking about poop this much, like, this is blowing my mind," and I'm just like, "I don't
It's
know."
so funny, but one thing I was gonna add too about just, like, reflecting about your poop and even your other symptoms too, it can kinda help you
The word
steer
poop is starting to
I know.
sound funny.
It can also kinda help you understand what other symptoms that you're experiencing because, oh, you start realizing, "Oh, the same time I got constipated is also when I started feeling super bloated," or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. It can kinda help to understand your other symptoms can help you get to the root cause of your constipation. And so even like if you're, "Oh, I'm more like on the anxiety type, I feel really stressed all the time and I'm constipated." Okay, cool. Maybe yours is more linked to like the holding on to the emotions and that's more of like an emotional process where maybe or on the other side of it, maybe you're have a whole bunch of skin issues and you struggle with acne and then you're also constipated. It's like, okay, maybe that is something more about your drainage pathways. You're not so there's is helpful and just to connect the dots in any symptoms is just
Mhm.
so helpful because you will realize like so many of them are related and we're definitely in the world where we just don't look at symptoms like that. There's never any connection where almost always all symptoms are
Fully
correlated,
connected.
connected,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. And switching gears a little bit, I know we've talked about obviously like fiber intake for and just eating enough food in general and fiber specifically. Another specific macronutrient I want to mention as well is fat intake. Eating healthy fats are super, super important for our digestion. And if so, if you're someone that eats more of like a higher carb, lower fat diet, it might be worth adding more healthy fats because those fats are going to help with like our bile flow. And then our bile flow is going, if we have poor bile flow, it's going to impact our digestion as well. So, once again, just to kind of tie it back, eating enough of everything is important, not just like fiber, and then eating those balanced meals as well.
Yep,
Yeah.
good one.
Next thing we can kind of talk about, I feel like this will ease into it because we've talked about hydration, we've talked about fiber, we've talked about eating enough, and then how we eat as well, and just like our pre-meal habits. But we've done a full episode on meal hygiene and how we should be eating. But just to kind of recap, making sure we're in that like rest and digest state, not being distracted, properly chewing our food into that applesauce consistency, which I admit I very rarely
It's
do, but
hard.
just trying one meal a day where you're just actively just start with trying to chew more. Maybe you're not even getting to that point, but that makes such a big difference because we need to help our body digest our food through like mechanical mechanisms like chewing our food. And then going for a short walk is going to help with that digestion just through gravity itself, but also with like our blood sugar regulation. And did I miss anything there? Not drinking water right before, during, and after. I always like to be a little bit cautious with this one because I feel like sometimes people think like to drink water and then they haven't drank water that whole day and then they think to drink it while they're eating. And so if you need to like sip on a little bit of water, that's fine. It's better we have something than nothing. But the big thing is we don't want to be like chugging water and using water to like get our food down, I think is something to
Yeah,
consider.
I love that one. And then, yeah, we could even just talk a little bit about like lifestyle, nervous system supports, because something that I'll like, if I have a client that's like, okay, it's been 3 days, I haven't pooped, like, what I need to go now, like, what do we do? So it's like actually getting yourself, and it's funny because I've like done this with Ellie when she like kids can struggle quicker with constipation because they have all of that GI tract in like a smaller body. So they're a lot more susceptible to it. So I
That's
basically
crazy.
learned all the tips and tricks when she was like little. So you can literally do like clockwise circles on the abdomen. I'll often say like put castor oil on your hand and like massage it around your stomach. Get into like a low squat position, like low, like deep squat, and like rub your stomach and like actually start to pay attention to your pelvic floor. And I think this is something we haven't touched on yet either in this episode, but our pelvic floor, especially for women, is so important and it can hold so much stress and so much trauma and all of our shame. And if you've given birth or carried a baby or there's like any sort of trauma, women tend to really hold it within that pelvic floor. So to
Even
like start,
sucking in your gut.
yes,
Like,
constantly.
and
We're
all
sucking in
women
our
all the
gut.
time are just like, "Ew, I
Yeah,
gotta
like
suck in, gotta suck in."
better
Like,
look
that's so
skinny.
bad for your pelvic floor, which is great. You almost would think it wouldn't be because it's like feels like you're using a muscle, but it's
But
bad.
it's the
So
wrong one and it's pushing the pressure of sucking in pushes your pelvic floor down. So it's like constant weight on our pelvic floor forever. And then we're like, why are we all peeing our pants when we're like 40 years old? And it's like, well, anyway, we should probably do an episode on that. But start to feel it. Start to like sit with yourself in your pelvic floor. Like, am I constantly just like clenching it and holding it in and then expecting to somehow take a poop? Like, you really actually have to think about it. So just like I always tell my clients, like, open up, relax your jaw and your pelvic floor are like very connected. And you can like hum, you can sing, you can gargle. It can feel really weird and embarrassing, but like this is just how we roll.
well, it's like activating the vagus nerve pretty much at that time
Yes.
to really tell your body, like, "You are safe. I'm not running from a tiger.
Mm-hmm.
You can poop."
Yeah, like let's get this rolling here. So that's always what I'll kind of say is and like kind of rock back and forth, rub your belly, and like you're supposed to envision your pelvic floor like a rose and just have it opening up. And maybe that's something you need to look into a little bit deeper. Like there's pelvic floor meditations. You could go to like pelvic floor therapy. I honestly think every single woman, whether you have had kids or not, should be paying attention to their pelvic floor and doing some sort of work on it just because it literally holds the trauma of like every woman that came before us, which is so intense. So that's kind of what I do for like in the moment lifestyle. Anything else?
It's I think at that point too, right? Like, if you've kinda done those more basic, those lifestyle things, you're slowing down. I think actually one that we didn't really mention, I kinda mentioned in the beginning, is just, like, your circadian rhythm in general, your sleep-wake
Mhm.
cycle. Like, just being more in tune like that, our body likes routine, it likes to know what to expect, and so the more consistent you can be with that, the more your body will be like, "Okay, I know. She kinda, like she ate her breakfast, she went for a walk, and now I know we have, like, 20 minutes," and so and that's not really how it works, but it kinda works like that, and so just getting like, are you always waking up at different times? You don't really have that routine, you're not paying attention to your, um, like, light environment, things like that, that can also help because routine is important, but I think too, at the point, if you're, like, needing to do all these intense supplements and you've kind of implemented these things, you know where your fiber intake is at, you're eating whole nutrient dense foods, you're chewing, you're doing the castor oil packs. If you're still constipated, like, I would recommend just saving up, investing in the functional testing so that you are taking out that gas because there is supplements that you can take, but again, you're not most of the time not constipated because you're lacking a specific supplement. There's a reason, so you can start guessing, but it's very easy to get expensive and you don't really know if it's working. And it's also very hard to just stay consistent if you don't get that like immediate feedback loop, which it doesn't always work like that. And so it's just easier to trust the process and do what needs to be done if you know you're working on the right thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you might as well it's like taking a supplement for a like a gut bacteria that's out of balance is much different than just like taking a constipation supplement
Yes.
because okay, you're quickly getting that poop out, but you still have that dysbiotic gut bacteria or you still have that yeast overgrowth or you still have that SIBO infection. So it's like if you can get into the deeper testing. Same thing with the minerals. Yeah, okay, you take your magnesium and you're pooping, but like what are your sodium and potassium doing? Are you actually detoxing? Are your adrenals? So you might as well be taking a supplement that's more focused on the root cause instead of just like doing the supplementation band-aid, which we actually see a lot starting to come now is that people are kind of shifting into this like holistic functional way of being, but instead of taking a medication, instead of taking Restoralax or
Yes.
just taking a constipation supplement, it's like that still isn't root cause. Like, yes, it's a supplement. It might be a little less damaging, a little less side effects, but it's still a burden on your liver. You're still not getting to the root cause. And that constipation might be literally causing 10 other issues in your body that you're now just slapping a band aid over and aren't ever going to find out the why and fix them. And it's so fun how, like, being on this journey with people. And even I posted about this the other day and I think we're gonna do an oral health episode, but it's like all of a sudden, after 5 years, I realized, like, my teeth were a million times better than they ever had been, so it's like, there are things that you're not even gonna know are connected, you're gonna forget through the entire time you're working with your practitioner, you're never gonna bring it up, and then one day you're gonna be like, "Oh, that's weird, my gums don't bleed anymore." So it's just, like, so interconnected, and when you actually do it from the root cause, the payoff is just so massive, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think, like,
That's
magnesium is even, like, an easy one to kinda because everyone kinda knows magnesium helps, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I poop, but I have to take magnesium all the time," and it's not like you might be depleted in magnesium, but just taking that magnesium all of the time, like, why do you need so much magnesium? What else is going on? And there is probably a deeper rooted problem that's going towards different symptoms and everything like that, so it's yeah, it's definitely important.
well, I had a friend and she was chronically constipated and we did her labs and she started doing 2 of the changes because she was like, "I just wanna start slow." She had high, um, gluten response. What is that even called? I'm forgetting right now.
anti-gliadin?
Yeah, had high anti-gliadin, and she started doing castor oil packs, and she has pooped every single day, 2 to 3 times a day, and she used to go seriously like, it would be, like, a week without going, and
Oh,
just from,
that's
like,
just
cutting
like
out gluten, I'm like, "Yes."
that's my favorite when they do, like, one little they're like, "Oh, what is Jensen even doing? She probably doesn't even work," and then they do one thing, and they're like, "Oh,
I know,
it
even the
worked.
castor oil pack, she started off with those, and she's like, "Wow, I'm actually going to the bathroom every morning," and I was like, "Yeah, what can I say?
You're welcome."
You're welcome." And then cutting out the gluten, and it's just what I'm getting at is it can be something, like, so small, and instead we're, like, trying to do these things, like, throw a supplement on top of it, and it might just require a different approach. So, yeah,
Alright. Well, does that
So good luck
conclude?
out there.
good luck out there if you're a naturopath. Just if you go to your naturopath complaining about constipation and they just give you 18 different $1,000,000 supplements to go on, then that's not getting to the root cause, and there's a reason why they continue to get you to keep coming back and continue to pay for these overpriced supplements.
Pew, 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 shots fired, and we'll end it on that. But it's
Alright.
true, and honestly, I think the most like, even just why I like talking about it, and I always tell myself, "Just talk about it more, talk about it more, talk about it more," because so many people have normalized it. So many people aren't poop families. So many people have no idea just, like, how bad it is, how much it is linked to every other symptom, and
I
so I
just
just
had a
wanna go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say, should we start making merch and then we can have hats that say "Poop Family" on them?
Poop fam. We should. Would you guys buy that? You interested? Let us know.
I would.
But yeah, just like talking about it more, I think, because so many people have no idea. And it's always funny and interesting too when we get on these calls with women and they're struggling and they have all of these things and they're like, I'm like, "Oh, and do you poop every day?" And they're like, "Oh no, like I've kind of been like that my whole life." You know what I mean? And they don't even think anything of it when really that could be like the root cause to a lot of your symptoms. Now we have to figure out why you're constipated, but it's just yeah, it's not normal, so you should stop normalizing it, and just because you've always been like that, and just because if you do talk about it with your friends or your family, they're also like that, it's not normal, and it can very quickly and easily lead to a ton of other issues because at the end of the day, it's the bottom of your drainage funnel. It's the last place that hormones and toxins go to get out of your body, and if they ain't leaving, they're staying. So, that's it. That's all.
They
If you
ain't
liked the
leaving, they're
episode,
staying.
share it with your constipated friends. Leave us a review
Follow us
and
on YouTube.
follow us
Follow
on
us on
YouTube, you guys,
YouTube.
please. We have like 12 subscribers and it's embarrassing.
And
Just kidding. We're
log, log,
starting from the
log.
bottom and we're fine with that. We just
Yeah.
can't quite say. And now we're here. Started from the bottom and we're still at the
Still
bottom.
here.
Not for long.
Not for long.
Okay.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Wellness Effect. We're so grateful to be part of your wellness journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on Instagram for more tips, laughs, and real talk. We'll put all of our handles in the show notes. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, slide into our DMs or send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep creating your own wellness effect.